All right, good evening, everyone. Sorry, we are working kind of overtime tonight, uh, getting things situated and organized. I am working to verify what information we can. Kind of talking to a lot of people, juggling a lot of stuff. Uh, Trying to get the situation on the ground. If you aren't aware, Israel launched a massive airstrike and possible infiltration by Mossad agents to conduct assassinations early. Well, it would be for Iran and Israel early in the morning. For us, late this evening. What information we have is sketchy. As best as I can tell, there are 3 verified, possibly 4 verified. Israel is verifying 4. Iran is verifying 3 assassinations of high-level officials. Hi, Hetman. Have you joined us?
Yep.
All right. Can you hear everyone? Can you hear us?
Can hear you.
Good. Can everyone hear us over the thing? Did this thing not work? Is everything? Yeah, everything looks to be working. You look to be working. Okay.
Let's see. Yep.
All right, and we'll be bringing in Quick from the cathedral and other places to talk as he's in Israeli. Uh,
Oh wow, we got a surprise guest coming on.
yes. Now. Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, we verified 3.
Have they verified any of the locations that have been struck, or no?
The only ones I verified are Tehran and the 2 nuclear facilities. So I verified strikes on multiple buildings in Tehran. Some of them are residential areas that are used by regime officials. I am unclear at this point of civilian casualties. I'm also unclear of regime casualties, except for the following 3 that I can say with some certainty. The first is Major General Hossein Salami.
Yeah,
Then
that one.
2 nuclear scientists, Mohammed Mehdi Tenrachi and Fayridun Abbasi, both confirmed assassinated by Israel. Israel has a 4th individual. Let me pull that up in a second, and I gotta pull Q in. Again, we're panic covering things. I know how to use Discord. Hey, Quick. Hello?
We got him in.
Yes. Let's see. And then from our other friend,
Hello.
Ghulam al-Rashid has been confirmed to be assassinated.
Ghulam al-Rashid.
Yes, who is, or rather was, and that's who Israel is confirming. Major General Ghulam al-Rashid, military officer and commander of the Qatam, blah, blah, blah. The Qatam al-Anabi central headquarters. So he would have been, I believe, based out of Tehran. Yeah, that's where the Iranian general staff is located. How are you, Quick? Are they still sounding the alarms out there?
The alarms are not on right now. That we were told to stay here inside.
Yeah. I don't expect that Israel will be able to. I need to get rid of this. Hang on.
Oh, my audio is going insane.
I don't expect Israel will be retaliated against immediately. It looks like there might be another bombing happening in Iran right now.
It said, like, I've heard that there's been up to 4 waves of strikes, maybe 5.
I think this is the 5th. I am speaking with a friend who works in an important American government building. They've just left work, so it's been a busy day there too. Um, which means like that's a lot for Israel to sustain at once. They don't.
So two confirmed, Salami and Bakiri, the chief of staff of the armed forces.
I haven't seen that one verified yet. I'll check. I haven't been on Twitter in a few minutes, and I haven't checked the Iranian news.
I should
see.
actually check with some of my Iranian friends to see what they're seeing.
Don't care. Iranian armed forces really don't care. It's not an actual account. Yeah, they just released a statement of General Salami, and the Tehran Times as well. Let's see. That's from June 11th.
Quick, where are you living in Israel?
He just popped out. Let me pop them back in. Where'd you go? All right, Quick is back. I think. Let me know if you're back.
Oh, back. I think that Brooks did infect me with the disease of bad audio. I am actually not so far away from Bat Hefer, which is. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. If I'm back, then I'm back.
Ayatollah Khamenei warns regime must expect severe punishment. That is a weirdly phrased sentence. Unless he's referring to Israel as a regime. Sorry, I'm going through the Tehran
Okay,
Times.
my audio is going absolutely insane.
All right. Unofficial. We are on the third strike, not the fifth. No, Quio's back. I'm gonna go get him again. We'll bring him back. Yeah, it looks like I'm speaking.
Defender, the Israeli Air Force so far has carried out 5 waves of strikes against the targets inside Iran.
Who said that?
Hundreds of strikes. OSINT Defender.
Yeah, no, I'm talking to someone in the Pentagon.
Oh.
Okay. Now I really am in. Okay,
Yes.
I solved my audio issues. Brooks did infect me. It's not a lie what people are saying.
You know what happens? You go on in time or in the fold, and your audio dies. It's just what happens.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm seeing like we're on the second or third is what I'm being told. Israel is limiting. I don't think that's true either. Like I don't know what the extent of the Mossad operation is. Like I'm not sure if these assassinations were carried out by Mossad or if they were carried out by the Israeli Air Force.
Yeah, you think if it were the Israeli Air Force, it looks like a lot of these strikes were done with air-to-ground missiles. So, like, from a distance.
Yes, but that would imply that they had up-to-date information on the location of peoples from the night, which could mean very well that someone, a Mossad asset, gave them the information to launch the strike.
That's probably accurate.
Because, like, if we're talking about the timing of the strike, it's what, 6 o'clock-ish there in Israel right now?
Let me check. It is 6 o'clock, closer to 7.
Okay, yeah, it's almost 7 in the morning. These would have been a couple hours ago at best. They would have launched those attacks in the dead of night, so they would have known where they were staying for a couple hours at least.
Israel has tried to portray itself as having extensive presence on the ground in Iran. Whether that is true it is difficult to say for sure, but they have been able to create that image in Israel and other countries as well. So I think there's a reason to take that seriously.
I would tend to agree. At the very least, they're able to figure out where people are to direct strikes against. It's a different story entirely to pull off something like what Ukraine did recently in Russia. But like at the very least, I think we can that they have good on the ground intel about where people are at.
That's the benefit of having a country that's pretty much made up of diaspora nationalities. You have plenty of operatives that can speak Persian. And in the case of Ukraine,
Well, I also wouldn't
all
doubt
of them speak Russian.
I also
So-
wouldn't doubt that you have a number of people that you can pay in Iran to give you information very easily too.
Oh, 100%.
There are many people in Iran that you can recruit ideologically, and
Yes.
Yeah.
it seems Israel has.
Well, so this is like interesting. Like they have targeted these military leaders, the head of the IRGC and the head of the chief of staff or the Iranian staff officers, which would imply like it would make sense to me if this was part of a plan to try to foment an uprising and you had the people in place to do the uprising. That would make a lot of sense to do right now. I don't know if that's the case. Like obviously
I don't think so. That's like my dream,
yeah, I don't
honestly.
I don't imagine so.
But yeah, I don't. I mean, I think that actually you'll see a lot of you could see some demonstrations and some people kind of attempting that, but that could also be violently put down really quick
It can
if it's not coordinated.
because I do not like I'll be honest, these kinds of attacks that Israel likes to launch against figures like the heads of Hamas or Hezbollah or now Iran aren't terribly effective unless you pair them with something else, right? You have to have like a plan on the ground. So like you kill the leaders of Hamas and destabilize Hamas, and then you have someone there to take over for Hamas type thing. Otherwise, you're just killing people and they'll replace them. Like I would imagine that Iran has like junior commanders already taking over at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that that's probably the case.
Uh,
But
like I don't expect them like I don't expect a long-term uprising to occur, but it would make sense had they planned for it. And it's not like this is not a like, oh, we decided to do it 5 minutes ago thing.
no, this is obviously very well planned and something that has been in the planning like probably for well over a year, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, this is a long-term plan being executed. I think the timing is suspicious. Netanyahu was
Yeah.
a day away from his government collapsing. And I suspect, I don't know anything, but I suspect the deal he made with the far right elements of his government was to execute this plan in exchange for their continued support. That would be not at all surprising to me.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure.
this whole
I'm not
thing.
sure.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the way it seemed to me, especially with Huckabee going to talk to them, it seemed to me that they were able to convince Shas and UTJ to stay in the government to be able to commit this attack right now. Or that's because that's probably very, very much related to Shas and UTJ trying to break away, but it still seems related. To me, it seems like they are forced into it.
Yeah, it may be the case that like again, I'm speculating. I'm not saying for sure, but the timing is like very interesting. Basically, like you had messaged me. What was it last night? I think, or is it the night before about this? And asked me what was going on.
I think it was last night.
And I swear to God, I'm like, oh yeah, Israel's about to attack Iran. That's what I said.
You said, but you weren't sure that it was going to happen. Like, you
No.
know, I actually was kind of skeptical
No,
that it would happen.
Then here we are, and of course it's a Thursday and a dialysis day, so someone had to go start a goddamn war. Um, and yeah, it's like the timing of it kind of like because Israel constitutionally in a time of emergency has a reduced cabinet. So all of a sudden, you have to keep, as Netanyahu, you have to keep much fewer people happy about a given operation at any time. And especially if he's losing steam in Gaza with the aid operation, because people are bitterly opposed to this in his government, opening up, promising them action against Iran, especially against the timeline of Donald Trump's talks, makes sense.
I was able to locate the source of some of the new footage on Israeli TV. Mer News, MEHR news agency. They have a website.
MEHR News. Iran must await a severe. That's still weird. Netanyahu and the head of the IDF, whose name escapes me at the moment, both made speeches in English.
Israel Katz.
Yes. Yes. His was short. Netanyahu went on for 7 minutes.
Netanyahu loves talking.
He went on. He was like, "This is the same as World War II." I'm like, "Not really."
Let's see.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be a. It doesn't look like there's going to be an organized on the ground uprising. I'm doing like 6 things at once. I apologize.
But there might be moves on part of rebels in Balochistan. We need to look into that. There might be something there, and it's usually very underreported on.
Leader, so that's where, yeah, that looks like where you found the thing. Leader, the great nation of Iran, at dawn today, the Zionist regime conducted a heinous crime on our beloved soil, revealing its evil nature more than ever by targeting residential areas with its wicked and bloodstained hands.
I was going to read that, but I wasn't sure if I should.
The regime must await a severe punishment. So he is referring to Israel as the regime. That's a strange way to put it. By God's will, the powerful hand that we don't care about. So yeah, as far as I can tell, there's been strikes against Israeli missile bases, or excuse me, Iranian missile bases. I don't think those are going to be terribly effective because Iran is just going to move the missiles, the same as what the Houthis do in Yemen. There, like, as a bunch of people saying that Iran is launching fighters. None of those accounts I really trust to be accurate. And even if they were, there's nothing that Iran can really do because their only air-to-air combat fighters are F-14s and MiG-29s, and they're both hopelessly outdated against the F-35 and the F-15EX. So, like, it wouldn't make sense to do that. They would just die. The Israeli Air Force. A short time ago, the IDF, under the guidance of the political echelon, launched a precise and integrated preemptive strike based on high-quality intelligence aimed at targeting Iran's nuclear program and in response to the ongoing aggression of Iranian regime against Israel. Yeah, I suspect, like, I don't know to what degree killing 2 scientists is going to stop the Iranian nuclear program. There'll be others, and it's not like it was 30 years ago where very few people had the necessary knowledge to do this. Like, the limiting factor these days about developing a nuclear program is materials and equipment and being able to do that unharassed. And if Iran is at the area that Netanyahu says they are, where they have enriched weapons grade material, then I don't know if this is going to stop at that, to be frank. The flip side on that is I do not think Iran will use the weapons. It wouldn't make sense to do so because Israel can retaliate.
Yeah, in a much more massive way.
And at that point, the United States would be forced to act alongside of Israel.
Breaking it is now confirmed. Iran's chief of staff of the armed forces, Mohammad Bagheri, was assassinated tonight.
Who is breaking that? Is it coming off of?
Let me see.
Because I have the
Israel has confirmed it already.
Oh, you've got it. This is Natanz? Okay. Are you going to load?
IDF speaker will go on shortly to discuss these matters. We're still waiting. Probably will be in a few minutes.
Oh, are they going on in Israel?
I don't know whether it will be in Hebrew or English.
Yeah, okay, we're going to keep you to translate.
I'm really quite bad at translating at real time, but we'll try.
All right, play. This is
Classifieds. Iran's nuclear plans. Recent intelligence shows Iran is nearing the point of no return in its race towards a nuclear weapon. The regime is producing thousands of kilograms of enriched uranium alongside decentralized and fortified enrichment compounds in underground fortified sites. This program has accelerated significantly in recent months, bringing the regime significantly closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon. The Iranian regime has been working for decades to attain a nuclear weapon. The world has attempted every possible diplomatic path to stop it, but the regime has refused to stop. The state of Israel has been left with no choice. The IDF has the obligation to act in defense of the civilians of Israel and will continue to do so.
All right, I'm going to play this footage. You can watch it on the thing. Come on, play. Work.
شما تصاویر نتنز رو هم بینندگان زنده دارن مشاهده میکنن و دود ناشی از انفجاری که به نظر میرسه دقایقی پیش اتفاق افتاده. خب مثلا ما در حوزه
we're having a lot
نتنز خب طبعا نتنز یک مرکز غنیسازی هست که روی
issue or no?
Yeah.
It's Brooks's curse.
Probably.
سطح زمین هست. بنابراین رژیم به راحتی آمده و اقدام علیه اون انجام داده و همین موضوع سبب شد که تهدیدهای مکرری که شد.
Oh, looks like they have launched their MiGs. Why?
Where'd you find that out?
I'm looking at the same website right here. It's right here. Video Iranian MiG-29 over one of their air bases. That's silly. Why would you do that? You're just going to die. That is a MiG-29, yes.
It's from June 2. It's there. June 02.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah, it's a propaganda site.
Got it.
They not a recent news site.
Well, MiG-29 is not that impressive.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was originally an Iraqi MiG-29.
Well, there are 40, as best as I can tell, there are 40 F-14s and like 30 MiG-29s, and 2 of them were former Iraqi ones. So, like, odds are it probably isn't that one. Iran has scrambled MiGs. I don't think they have. I would be really surprised if they were launching fighters, because there's not much they can do.
No, that would, if they were to try to go into Israeli airspace, well, going into Iraqi airspace would,
we'd shoot you down.
Put them in danger of an American intercept. Going into if even if they were to get far enough to launch missiles into Israel, that would be still very dangerous for them.
Hey you, stop eating whatever you're eating. Go lay down. Sorry, dog. Has Iran
Ooh.
yeah, I don't suspect that they're going to launch fighters. Like, I don't think the reason that Iran focuses on
New
loitering.
footage confirms multiple military targets have been struck in Tabriz. Large plumes of smoke are visible rising from several impact sites, including a really big one.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of American defense counts going. Yeah, so much for that pivot to the Pacific. No, go lay down. Stop it. At any rate, what we're looking at this point is at least 3 verified waves of Israeli strikes in Iran, hitting both their principal nuclear facilities and at this point several air bases in Tehran. I don't know the extent of civilian casualties. We probably won't find that out yet for some time. But the initial information seems to be that strikes were limited to civilian targets that were regime strongholds, so apartment buildings for regime figures. That doesn't necessarily entail that everyone in that building is a bad person, but it doesn't also not entail it. So at this point, it's really hard to figure out which one is which. A lot of information is being bandied about right now, and a lot of it is not necessarily accurate. A lot of people are throwing up old clips from the last time that Iran and Israel exchanged volleys of, well, planes and missiles. Yeah, also don't anticipate that Jackson Hinkle's flipping the fuck out. I also don't anticipate that they're going to do meaningful damage to these facilities. They'll put some holes in them, but I suspect they'll be operational unless they follow this up with commandos or something along those lines, which would probably at this point be impossible. That I think is old footage. I'm just going through stuff I'm seeing here. No, that's not even Israel. Stop. I hate people. Yeah, they're literally showing footage from last year and trying to pass it off as Iran and Israel fighting. Iranian media has Hassani, Rashid, and so basically the 4 we verified. No one else has been verified out except for what Israel has. Ted Cruz is flipping out. I don't know if that's true. Iran has never killed a single Israeli soldier. No, I don't think that's true. I also think that
Iran has killed 2 Israeli soldiers in the previous round of attacks against Israel.
That's what I thought. And more to the point, if Hezbollah kills them, I think Iran gets to put them up on their leaderboard. Mike Huckabee's really flipping the fuck out. Although
What's he saying?
In fairness, he's doing that whole we must stand with Israel thing. In fairness, he's probably going to get shot at. So I guess I would flip out a little bit.
There's new footage from CBS, ABC, Associated Press, CBS, Sky News, and the BBC. If you've seen it, I've seen it on Israeli TV. I'm not sure how mainstream it is right now in American spaces.
now I remember why I hate the AP website. Yeah, I don't think this is ending anytime soon. If Israel is launching another wave, and I don't think I believe the we're not involved line either. I suspect we are providing tanker support to Israel's aircraft.
It seems I've seen there's been a bunch of movements of US and UK intelligence gathering aircraft, AWACS, around the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, I can't Israel only has about a dozen tanker aircraft, a little over a dozen. And like each one of those can do 2.5 trips, and they need the tankers to get these smaller aircraft to Iran. So, like, in order to sustain this level of activity, the Israeli Air Force will need more tankers, which means we're probably lending them some tankers. I'll be honest. Live updates. Iran attacks Israel started 3 hours ago. Here we go. Why is this not breaking news? This isn't even the front page of the Associated Press. Israel is targeting Iran's nuclear sites. The head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard is feared dead.
State television has confirmed that the country's airspace will remain enclosed for an undetermined period.
Yeah. I don't think I fear that Salami is dead. Like, he's not a good guy. Like, he's not going to be on anyone's Christmas card list. Well, especially now that he's dead.
You wouldn't have been on a Christmas card list anyway.
What are you, waging the war on Christmas? Woke moralist. Up yours.
No. He's just Muslim.
U.S. response. I know, I'm just being funny. Israel took unilateral action against Iran. Yeah, Marco Rubio saying we haven't done something is pretty good indication we did it.
Yeah.
UN is condemning military escalation.
Trump says he hopes Iran will return to the negotiation table.
Probably not.
Doesn't seem so likely now.
Probably not. No, I don't want ads. Stop. Bad. We are pushing our luck on my tabs I have open, so let me change that. Israel will face severe punishment. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like, I don't think these decapitating strikes are going to be as decapitating as Israel thinks they are. Like they said, oh yeah, we decapitated Hezbollah, and 2 days later they fired rockets at the northern Israel. So I mean, we'll take that all with a grain of salt. Where are they planning to meet it? I think they were meeting in Saudi Arabia.
Oman. Not
Oman, never
in
mind.
Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
Oman, yeah. Yeah, I don't think Iran is buying the whole America's not involved bit. Oh, good. John Fetterman is talking again. I'm sure that won't
They
make
were
things
never
worse.
going to buy it. They were never going to buy it. But the question that remains is whether they'll return to the negotiation table anyway, because they feel forced to. Or maybe they'll just say, fuck this, we're not going along with your American schemes, and we'll just continue manufacturing on its way to a nuclear weapon.
I suspect that'll be the case. It was never really going to work, right? Iran had a nuclear deal; they were abiding by it, and then Trump voided it. There's no reason to negotiate with Trump again for this. There's absolutely none. There's no reason to trust his word. They were always like, once the first nuclear deal was undone by Trump, that was the end of the story. Iran was going to build the bomb. They're still going to build the bomb. It's just going to take them a little longer. U.S. what's called Israel's main supporter. Yeah, that's true. will be held responsible for the consequences of the attack. I don't think that's going to be a thing. Iran doesn't really have missiles that can reliably hit things here. But they'll probably attack American positions in Iraq in the coming days.
Allegedly, they already were.
Either through proxy or direct attack. Well, here's the thing. Secretary Hesketh ordered the evacuation of non-essential civilians and the strong suggestion of the evacuation of regular essential civilians from positions in Iraq a few days ago, which is one of the things I think you were referring to when you asked me what's going on in the Middle East, right, Hetman?
What'd you say? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just looking at something.
You were asking when you were asking me the other night what was going on. You were referring to our evacuations of civilians from.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yes. Yeah. That kind of indicates. No, you're done. You're fine. That kind of indicates that we knew what was going to be happening. To me, at least. Okay, I got to take this dog out. I'm going to mute myself. You guys keep talking. Avery, stop it!
I'm actually surprised that there's not a more heightened state of alert in Israel right now.
Well, there's not much to do. It's mostly about trying to. Oh, whoa! I'm looking at the footage again. Footage from Mer, and I'm seeing people on fire. Yeah, I did not see that before. Yeah, people are on fire. Oh.
On the aftermath of the airstrike photos?
Yes, it's on a road. There's one line of trees. Have you seen it? Maybe I can find it online. I'm just looking at Israeli news. Kan 11. Oh, yeah. From counting, I see 3 people on fire.
Is this in Iran? Where is this?
Yes, in Iran.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try and locate the footage, but I'm not sure I can do that. It's on Mer, but I haven't seen it on the website. Yeah, and in terms of Israel, people are relatively at ease, considering the situation. This is definitely never before seen escalation. Yet there's a certain atmosphere of calm. It really is quite. People don't seem to know what situation they're in.
Now, I'm asking as someone who has never spent any time there, is that just kind of because, rocket attacks and, air raids are sort of the norm there, that people are just used to things like this? Or is it sort of a naivety, in your opinion, towards what could come?
It has been the norm since Saddam Hussein. So,
yeah.
Yes, it is the norm, but this is definitely a special situation that we've never seen before. Maybe since Saddam Hussein, but even then it wasn't on this level.
Of course, and I don't even remember how many missiles Saddam launched at Israel during that time. I think it was maybe in the dozens, if not less than that, and a lot of them landed, they didn't hit any populated areas as far as I remember.
It was very new at the time. It's still in Israeli cultural memory. People were very afraid, but now it is the norm. Now it's the norm. For populations next to Gaza, excuse me, it has been pretty much daily for a long time.
Of course.
People aren't really used to that. It has been daily for people in Otef Gaza, next to Gaza. And funnily enough, those are the people who are generally most on the left and are the most tolerant. And these are also the people who are hit on October 7th.
These are most of the people who were in the kibbutzim, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, and traditionally, historically, these were sort of left-leaning people.
I mean, they're still more left-wing than a lot of the country, despite October 7th. Amazingly, just amazingly.
How did the atmosphere of the country change after October 7th? Has it pushed people as much as they've, as much as people have reported more towards the right?
Obviously, the country has leaned right very quickly, massively. There is no longer toleration of the left, and most pretenses were dropped. The only pretenses of a sort are more of a rhetorical tool, so people wouldn't say genocide, so they wouldn't connect stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing genocide in Gaza, that's ridiculous. Why is their population growing? But we can still be as cruel as we want. Why can we be as cruel as we want? Because we are not doing genocide.
Yeah.
Very funny way to think. And I mentioned that these are the most left-wing people in Israel, pretty much, because it just goes to show how much our neighbors fail to understand us. If they really cared about winning, they'd try and wipe out Netivot and definitely Bnei Brak.
Yeah.
They'd wipe out the Haredim, which I don't know if I'd cry, but it would be pretty sad.
Who are those?
Not my biggest. The ultra orthodox.
Yeah.
Yeah, not amazing people, I must mention. Even the anti-Zionist ones. Actually, the anti-Zionist ultra orthodox in Mea Shearim in Jerusalem have been known to be extremely violent and even attempt assassinations on people.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
I know that
again, these
general,
are the people maintaining. Again,
yeah.
These are the people maintaining Netanyahu's regime, because Netanyahu, what does he offer them? He offers them not to join the IDF up till now, and well, now again, still working. And of course, many people outside Israel don't know this. Ultra Orthodox people are heavily subsidized. Heavily. They don't have to work.
That's
The
the same
men
case
don't work.
Yeah, this is the same case for ultra orthodox people living here in the United States. They're big recipients of welfare and social support from the various states that they live in. It's funny, I'm on my mom's side. I'm Jewish, and actually, some of my relatives were among the first. I forget what aliyah they were a part of, but they were a part of the Palazion, the left-wing Zionist group that came from the Russian imperial space, so left bank Ukraine. And yeah, I've never been there, never been to Israel, never really had the desire to go up until recently. Some of my relatives who were unfortunately living in the Russian Federation moved there. So, I do want to visit Israel, and I never really knew until I started, watching. There's a famous YouTuber. It's this guy. I don't know if you've seen him. Ask an Israeli, ask a Palestinian.
Corey Gil Schuster.
Yes, Corey Gil-Schuster.
The Ask
Yeah.
Project.
Yeah.
He always drops the K because he's funny dude.
Yeah. I've tried to show Daedalus him, but Daedalus thinks like
I
that
watched
it's
him.
a bias report, and it's really not actually. He goes and asks everybody.
I don't.
If you actually look it up, guys, you can find him talking about his methodology, and it's clearly not biased. He's not biased. He goes in more than a dozen podcasts into his methodology, how he does stuff, and some videos on his YouTube channel as well.
I don't trust man on the street interviews. Is the thing? Is my thing, not him specifically.
But he's gay. He's gay. You can trust him. You can trust his interviews.
Well, that's all right then, I guess. No,
I did not know that.
It is. That's how it works.
The thing about man on the
new footage. The SNIM news new footage from Iran, and try and find it for you.
The problem with man on the street videos is like I have been the subject of them before, and I know how they operate. I tend to like, I don't like the polls either. You notice we didn't cover that poll that they came out with recently that people sensationalized, because like the headline of that poll that everyone did and didn't look at, kind of illustrated the point of like, these are tricky things to talk about. Like ultimately, like, and again, the people on the ground are not the ones who have to come up with the peace treaty ultimately.
Yes, at the end of the day, none of these polls really.
The way that I look at his project is it gives you kind of an insight into various layers of Israeli society, which is really diverse. That's like the thing that, you know, I learned through watching that, is that, you know, it's I never really appreciated how diverse Israeli society is, both politically, ethnically, you know, confessionally, sexually. I mean, it's a very big, you know, I don't know. Is there's like a saying in Ukrainian, it's там де дві українці, дві українці, три гетмани. So it means where there are two Ukrainians, there are three hetmans. So three Cossack leaders for every two Ukrainians. And I think that there's like a saying for Jews too, that where there are two Jews, there are five rabbis or something like that. So it's a really, in terms of opinion, in terms of like everything, there's a wide variety of it. And what I did find interesting is that when he does go into the, you know, or him or his, he's got a few Arab, Israeli, and Palestinian colleagues who interview Palestinians, and you know, more or less where you find the more extreme views in terms of, okay, do you believe that, you know, you need to get all of your land back, and what will you do with the Jews? Oh, we'll get rid of them. What does getting rid of them mean? So that those views are widespread, and it's one of those things, if you talk to people, like when I was in Ukraine, I was able to kind of garner a lot from just talking to regular people that sometimes political analysts would not do well when they do their massive polls that are kind of limited in geographic scope. And for example, like when Poroshenko lost the election, a lot of people predicted that he wouldn't, and I knew he would because I talked to people. So I do trust on the ground interviews, is not necessarily as like, you know, I don't know if it's qualitative or quantitative, but it gives you a kind of a good idea of what people are thinking, you know.
Yeah, but if you look at that poll that recently came out,
What's the poll?
The poll
you were talking
indicates its attitudes of Israelis about Gazans. It indicates that there is mass support for continued Israeli efforts in Gaza. But when they start breaking this information down, they see like, well, when you start talking to people and telling them what's going on in Gaza, suddenly they stop being as eager to support it. Like the problem of both the Palestinian and Israeli societies is they're both living in antagonism to one another, and they're both propagandized against one another. So like these viewpoints that they have that they might want to do, like oh, we're going to get rid of all the Palestinians, or oh, we're going to get rid of all the Israelis. In any real effort to build a peaceful settlement, you're going to have to interact with those people like that you haven't really done.
Dialogue. Dialogue's ultimately
Yes,
what
that you
destroys
haven't
that animosity.
what you haven't
But
done in decades, because there has been a fundamental breakdown between the economic relationship between the Palestinians and the Israelis, which wasn't a good relationship, by the way, but it was a relationship that led.
Depends.
Well, a lot of cases you have
It
a lot of
does
people being
depend.
exploited for cheap labor, and that's not great. But like there is a relationship there that like that people had and like got through, and after the second Intifada, that basically shuts down. Even during, it basically shuts down. And like I think this inability to have a basic dialogue between people and interact with people back and forth has been why this conflict escalates year after year after year. And like while that is the case, and while people might have these attitudes, those attitudes can be combated and have to be combated, because the alternative is terrifyingly deadly to both sides.
Israeli Airlines planes are moving their fleet, or they're moving their planes out of Ben Gurion Airport, probably in anticipation for a strike and towards to Cyprus.
That makes sense. Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
So to answer
my
your question,
family was
Pippa,
just
this particular strike is a lot larger in scale and appears to be ongoing. So we're still in the middle of all this right now. So it's hard to say how it's different. Last time, like Israel launched a number of strikes against Iran to target various military facilities. They launched it, they were done, they went home. We are into at least the fourth wave of Israeli fighters heading into Iran right now, at as best as I can tell. I probably won't know more on the exact count until tomorrow morning when certain people get back into work. Um, um, and this appears to be a long-term operation, and Iran's response at that time was to launch a massive volley of missiles, most of which were intercepted, some of which hit. The United States, after that, gave Israel the use of a second THAAD battery, which is a very advanced American air defense network weapon. So they are basically sitting on 2 of the 6 right now, which should give Israel some pretty adequate protection against the same scale of Iranian attack as happened last October, along with Israel's native defenses and Patriot missile batteries. But how this is different is it's bigger. Brooks is not being entirely hyperbolic when he says apocalypse now. This is the biggest. This is probably I think this is the regional war we've been afraid of for a while. I don't think Iran's just going to let this one be bygones after one missile attack.
The question is what can they do though? Outside of launching missiles, using their products.
I mean, that's one of those things. It's like the early days of the war in Ukraine, where things seem to be going really well for Ukraine, right? And then now we've seen a situation where it's metastasized, and both sides have been learning and growing and building new tactics. That's what's going to happen here in any kind of long-term fight. So it might not be that Iran is immediately immensely successful in attacking Israel, but the longer this goes on, the more likely it is that they're going to figure out a way to hit back.
You know, one thing that you're not considering though is the very likelihood that not this attack, but this, I mean, not this attack alone, but this could be the beginning of the end for the Islamic regime in Iran.
It may be.
I don't think that they.
I don't.
I do not think that that their grip is as strong as it was, obviously 30 or 40 years ago.
It may be, but I don't. I asked my friend earlier this evening if they anticipate any kind of large scale uprising against the regime, and they said they didn't think so, and that the IGRC was probably already back in control of their operations. So like maybe you might see that happen. I think it would be great for the people of Iran if it did, but I am not overly hopeful.
Same. I'm in that same mode of thinking.
U.S. air bases have pretty crappy air defenses. It depends on the base. Bases in the continental United States do not have good air defenses. They have interceptor squadrons of F-15s at strategic locations. They don't need good air defenses. We can put the Patriot batteries elsewhere. Like, what are they going to, like, they're not, like, are they going to attack us from Canada? Although
now
that might be a thing.
Though they had transferred the Patriots that were supposed to be given to Ukraine. They had blocked that or whatever. I don't remember. It's late, but yeah, this was, we knew that this was coming.
Well, I don't.
I'm pretty sure they've been saying on Kan 11 that the IDF speaker will go on immediately for more than 15, maybe 20 minutes. They have a very, very funny definition of immediately.
That's not uncommon.
I'm still waiting to let you. Yeah, I'm still waiting.
That's the so-called Israeli time, right?
No, that's not uncommon in any government in this situation. Yeah. If you remember the night Osama bin Laden got, Obama pushed the announcement back like 2-3 hours.
Yeah. I mean, the soldiers needed.
Couldn't this temporarily help Iran?
The soldiers needed a time to.
Yeah, I saw Palm dead.
It's not likely that it's going to help Iran really, because Iran doesn't have a lot of avenues to go around. Iran's only significant ally is Russia when you get down to it, and Russia's busy, and they're
busy and they don't really give a shit. Like actually a lot of the they produce their own shahids now.
Yeah. Russia has never been a particularly antagonistic country to Israel.
No.
They have played a weird relationship with Syria and Egypt, but they've never been particularly antagonistic to Israel. And
not since Soviet times, no, but
not even in Soviet
general
times. Like even in Soviet times, they were like they supplied Egypt with weapons, but then they also gave Egypt the apparently false intelligence that Israel was going to attack in 67. So like apparently they knew it was false when they supplied it to Egypt. So like the Soviet Union has never really been that like bad of a antagonist to Israel.
Yes. Yeah. They've been calculated and they've been emotionally detached, intelligently so, unlike America, which has been, well,
we've been involved.
And now a bit involved, and maybe with Trump, he'll be detached as well, but not intelligently, that's for sure.
When air base in Syria was attacked last year, 8 were injured. Yes, 8 were injured. They weren't killed. I'd have to look at what that specific base has in the way of defenses. But when you were saying why there aren't like missile defense systems here in the United States, it's because we don't need them. It's a big country. We probably do actually at this point need to start thinking about it. Um, One of the things I think Ukraine, particularly because Ukraine is such a large country, a lesson to take from that um, is that there isn't really a home front anymore. Every place is now vulnerable to attack. And you can fire off missiles without a nuclear payload, and they can come and they can hit targets in the United States. Uh, in theory, we have a network of defense against that. In reality, I don't think we have nearly as much defense as we would need in the event of a major war with a country like China. Um, the the principal problem you will find, I think, everywhere in every country in NATO and right now is that they do not have nearly enough of the things they will need at any kind of scale to conduct any kind of large scale war. So it's not that we don't have good anti-air defense systems. It's that we don't have enough to put them everywhere. And it's not we don't have good and I actually was reading an article. You might have seen this one, Hetman. The Ukrainians are starting to be of the issue that we don't need good weapons. We need a lot of usable weapons in order to counter the Russians.
100%.
And like, I don't think that's an inaccurate assessment. Like, you can have a really well done weapon in 5 of them, and they have typically done really well for the United States. But we've also not gotten into a fight in the last 30 years, 40 years with anyone of any kind of comparable size. The ability to replace things quickly is going to be essential. And like, I think that's also like, it's a particularly, if you're thinking about Israel, particularly because Israel's not a big country. It's only about the size of New Jersey. And I hesitate to use that comparison because Netanyahu used it tonight and jerk. Like, it was a very well-crafted speech, but it was for an American audience.
American audiences do not appreciate well-crafted speeches. They appreciate Trump.
100%.
Unfortunately, it's true. I also think, like, when we're talking about the United States, I guess we're kind of floundering because we've run out of new information. But when you're talking about the United States, a lot of Americans aren't engaging with politics except for the last few weeks of an election. No, I don't believe you. Stop saying that. People are saying that the site at Nance is gone. I don't think it is. Dr. Eli David is completely unreliable. Mohammed Bagheri appears to be confirmed killed in Iranian news now. Their chief of staff. They're probably replacing them.
What's the viability of dirty bombs for Iran?
Well, so what a dirty bomb is it is an explosive that has packed with nuclear material in it, radioactive material.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not a nuclear bomb per se, but it can cause a lot of problems.
What it does is it basically throws out it explodes, and exploding things are bad for people, obviously. But what it really does is it puts up a giant cloud of radioactive dust and debris. They can probably create one of those right now. I don't know how well
they could easily do that.
I don't know how easily they could get it to someplace they want it to be. I don't know if they could do that without necessarily burning their ability to do it again in the future.
It would be a really bad move on their part. I think it would spell possibly a dirty bomb is, I mean, it's a big deal. It's not a nuclear explosion, but it can actually create more problems than an actual nuclear bomb could, because of the contaminants that it would spread. So doing that would not be obviously taken lightly by any country that is attacked by it. Nonetheless, Israel, I'm pretty sure that Israel
it'll probably fall below the threshold of a response from anyone but the United States and Israel.
Yeah.
the United States probably responds at that point. But I don't think like anyone else would want to necessarily get involved with that. They just start tightening security measures, because really, what you think about this thing is like it's bad for the people in the immediate site, but the effect of a
But
dirty
it's also bad depending on how much material it releases and how much like fissile material. It's bad for people in other countries too.
yes, but more to the point, what it does is it makes people panic. So when you describe dirty bombs in military science and security circles, they're typically described as weapons of mass distraction. They're not really the kind of thing you would do to, like, they might be the thing to do to hit back symbolically, but I don't think Iran is going to take that option. I think they're going to look for something else. And I think they're going to start to look for ways to hit Israel's capacity to hit them.
I'm not sure if Iran is capable of seriously damaging that capacity.
Not, I don't think with missiles.
Especially, what other options have they got?
They could certainly try to infiltrate and like drive a truck bomb up to an airbase or something along those lines. Like that would probably be more successful than anything else. Jesus, people are losing
It's
their minds.
very, very difficult to do that in Israel. I believe that the only cases of spying that took place in Israel were for large amounts of money. I can't recall.
I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's certainly easier than trying to blow up an airbase with a missile. I mean, if Iran, the problem is at this point that Israel's not giving Iran an out, right now, so they have to hit back with something.
Yeah, it's not.
And they haven't in a while. They've been pushing this button for a very long time. And the other thing is that Iran doesn't have the ability to sustain an expeditionary war. Neither does Israel. So the only option they really have is to strike at each other indirectly through a proxy, or to hit each other with airstrikes or missile strikes. Because they don't have the ability to send an army. We won't do it. It's just not something the United States is interested in, especially under Trump. And they don't have like this ability. Like all they can do is bomb each other at the end of the day, or launch rockets, or send someone in. And like there are still vulnerabilities. Like Israel admitted that they have very little handle on the situation in Gaza, that Hamas is growing in strength. So like there are vulnerabilities that they could exploit. Again, I don't think you'll see something similar to October 7th, but like if there's tunnels running into Gaza from Egypt, then there's probably tunnels running into Israel from Lebanon. And they should be aware of that. And
there are.
Yes.
There are. We know that there are.
Right.
The question is how capable Lebanese military organizations like Hezbollah of employing those tunnels, and the question is often more complicated than it seems.
It is, but like this is also like if it's a route that Hezbollah can take, it's also a route that you can slip in a unit of IRGC commandos or something along those lines. Commandos a loaded word, but IRGC soldiers that could try to like sabotage things. Not out of the question. These are like right now, Iran is in a position that they can, to a certain extent, garner a level of sympathy for, because they have been attacked, particularly with the public attitude towards Israel being what it is. So do I think that they're necessarily going to retaliate with something along the lines of a dirty bomb? No, but they might very well try to, knock out an Israeli military base or something along those lines if they can. They will probably fire.
I'm really not sure they're capable of that. Israel is in many ways the DMZ. Israel is extremely militarized, extremely watched. It's basically a massive army base. The fact that some people infiltrated it on October 7th, to me, doesn't say that much.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know if they'll be
yeah.
successful, but they certainly will try. It's kind of what I'm getting at. Like the other half of it is like they will fire missiles,
How
not tonight.
much has Hezbollah reconstituted a lot of its, I'm not talking about manpower, but I'm talking about its actual material
That's
power,
hard to
because they
say.
lost a lot. What?
That's hard to say because like I don't think they have a direct line of supply the way Hamas does. And they lost a lot in Syria. So Hamas can bring in supplies from Egypt, and therefore they are like in a better position than Hezbollah, really, when you get down to it. And Hezbollah lost a lot in Syria.
They're not in a great one either.
And they lost a lot in Lebanon. So like I don't think they've reconstituted their equipment at all.
Hezbollah is also not Hamas. Hezbollah needs much higher grade weapons to actually do stuff against Israel in an effective way. Hamas, well, they don't need as much. And Hezbollah, from Israeli reporting, it seems, mostly hasn't reconstituted its weapons. I'm sorry, my brain is broken. I've been talking for too many hours, but it seems
We're about to
they
leave
have
them.
kept on the side a lot of weapons still.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
From
surprised
Israeli report.
if I wouldn't be surprised if they have weapon storehouses, but like in the immediate short term, I don't think they're going to be nearly as problematic as Hamas will remain. There is like some weird reporting going back and forth. I am been asking around. I can't figure out who's actually killing people, whether it's Hamas or the group that Israel armed to kill Hamas in at the Gaza aid stations. But there does seem to be some back and forth going there.
I mean, they're all equally as lovely, aren't they?
Well, they aren't nice people in either case. But like who's actually responsible is hard to figure out. Without getting too far into it, we are, I think, basically at the limit of what we can reasonably talk about at this point. There doesn't seem to be much in the way of new information coming out right now that's reliable. Like a lot of people are saying weird shit, and I don't believe them at all. And the Iranian accounts are getting very, very excited too.
Yeah, I'm not getting a whole lot of new stuff, new information coming in.
Do you guys want to wait for the IDF spokesperson? Because it's gonna be just immediately, Israeli TV says. Immediately. I've been waiting immediately for over 40 minutes, but it will be immediately, if you want to stay.
It's getting a little late for.
I don't suggest it.
Yeah, for me,
I don't imagine it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah,
we will probably. I don't know. I'll probably do something tomorrow if we have any information, and if not, we'll just continue fighting the civil war. Other news of the week, I am going to finalize this Sunday tonight or tomorrow the first history reading that we're going to be doing. I will put up the information for the reading. It's probably going to be next Friday. If you can show up for that, Hetman, yes. If not, that's fine too. We're going to be talking about what empires are anyway, and how do we distinguish polities like ancient Rome, or even going back farther to the Akkadian Empire, from modern and pre-modern empires. So that should be fun. In the Fold is still going.
Before I do the work, yeah. Before I do the work, I want an answer. Is Israel an empire?
You have to find yourself an overseas territory first.
Okay.
I
guess I'll see you there in the history stream.
Yes, we will be running a seminar. I will have the format for everyone ready to go. It'll be fun. or not. Maybe you won't find it fun, but we will be doing it. And with that, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, and have a good night.